And now I am going to read the story of Alice in Wonderland. And I am requesting everyone to pay attention and listen carefully in order for you to understand the story. So, are you all ready and excited? Okay, that's great. So, let me start. Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Alice was beginning to get very tired of sitting by her sister on the bank and of nothing to do. Once or twice she had peeped into the book her sister was reading, but it had no pictures or conversations in it. And what is the use of a book? Thought Alice, without pictures or conversation? So, she was considering in her own mind as well as she could, for the hot day made her feel very sleepy and stupid, whether the pleasure of making a daisy chain would be worth the trouble of getting up and picking the daisies. When suddenly, a white rabbit with pink eyes ran close by her. The rabbit pulled the watch out of his pocket to check the time. He shook his head, then disappeared down a rabbit's hole. "I must find out why he's in a hurry," cried Alice. Filled with curiosity, she ran to the rabbit's hole and peeped through the entrance. The hole dropped suddenly and Alice fell. She fell for a long time when suddenly she came upon a little three-legged table, all made of solid glass. There was nothing on it except a tiny golden key. When she looked around again, she came upon a low curtain she had not noticed before, and behind it was a little door about 15 inches high. She tried the little golden key in the lock, and to her great delight, it fitted. She opened the door and saw a beautiful garden through it, but she couldn't reach it as she was too big. When she turned around towards the three-legged table, Alice found a green bottle that said, "Drink me," magically appeared on it. Out of curiosity, Alice took the bottle and drank the entire potion. Then she began to shrink until she was no bigger than a doll. She opened the door and quickly ran through it. "What a splendid garden!" she exclaimed. "Why, I'm no bigger than the insects that crawl on these flowers." But the excitement soon wore off. Alice grew bored with her tiny size. "I want to be big again," she shouted. Her shout startled the white rabbit, who ran past her again. Mistaking her for his maid, he ordered, "Go to my cottage and fetch my gloves and fan." Alice was confused by the rabbit's behavior. "Maybe I'll find something at the cottage to help me find my way out," she said hopefully. As she was going out, she saw a piece of chocolate cake that was kept on a table by the doorway. Next to the cake was a note that read, "Eat me." "I'm so hungry," Alice said as she ate the cake. Suddenly, she felt strange and realized, "Oh no, I've grown larger than this house," she cried. "Get out my way! You're blocking the door!" shouted the white rabbit. Alice managed to pick up his fan. Immediately, she began to shrink. But little did she know, it was a magical fan. which made her small again. Oh no, I'll never get back to the right size. She went looking for help. Soon, she saw a green caterpillar dressed in a pink jacket. He was sitting on the top of a large mushroom, smoking a bubble pipe. One side makes you big, the other side makes you small, he said to Alice before slithering away. One side of what? Alice called after him. The mushroom, silly, he answered. Alice ate a piece of the mushroom. Thank goodness, I'm growing, she cried. But which way do I go? That path leads to the Mad Hatter. The other way leads to Le March Hare, said a voice. Alice turned to find a smiling Cheshire cat in a tree. I'll send you later at the Queen's Croquet game, he said before disappearing. There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March Hare and the Hatter were having tea at it. A dormouse was sitting between them, fast asleep, and the other two were using it as a cushion, resting their elbows on it and talking over its head. Very uncomfortable for the dormouse, thought Alice. Only as it asleep. I suppose it doesn't mind. The table was a large one, but the three were all crowded together at one corner of it. No room, no room, they cried out when they saw Alice coming. There's plenty of room, said Alice indignantly, and she sat down in a large armchair at one end of the table. Have some wine, the March Hare said in an encouraging tone. Alice looked around the table, but there was nothing on it but tea. I don't see any wine, she remarked. There isn't any, said the March Hare. Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it, Alice said angrily. It wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited, said the March Hare. I didn't know it was your table, said Alice. It's laid for a great many more than 3. You may stay if you answer my riddle, shouted the Mad Hatter. Why is a raven like a writing desk? Alice felt dreadfully puzzled. The Hatter's riddle seemed to have no sort of meaning in it, and it was certainly English. I don't quite understand you, she said, as politely as she could. Have you guessed the riddle yet? The Hatter said. No, I give up, Alice replied. What's the answer? I haven't the slightest idea. Nor I, said the March Hare. Alice sighed wearily. I think you might do something better with the time, she said. Then wasted in asking riddles that have no answers. And she continued her walk. Suddenly, she found herself in the middle of a field where the Queen of Hearts was playing croquet. Her guards and gardeners were shaped like hearts. One gardener had planted white roses by mistake and then painted them red. Off with her heads, shrieked the Queen. I hate white roses. Then she noticed Alice and asked her, Have you ever played croquet? Yes, Alice timidly answered. But I've never used a flamingo or a hedgehog. Play with me, ordered the queen. And let me win or I'll have your head. Alice tried her best to play well, but she had trouble with her flamingo. Off with her head, cried the queen. Just then a trumpet sounded in the distance, calling court to session. Everyone rushed into the courtroom. Court is now in session, announced the White Rabbit. Will Alice please come to the stand? Alice took the stand and looked at the jury box, where the March Hare and the Mad Hatter were making noise. The Dormouse leapt and the Cheshire Cat smiled at her. What's going on? Asked Alice. You are guilty of stealing the delicious heart-shaped tarts, accused the queen. And now you must be punished. Off with her head! Off with her head! Yelled the queen. How silly! Replied Alice. I did not have the slightest idea what you were talking about. I was only playing croquet. Alice felt someone touch her shoulder. Wake up! You've been sleeping for too long, said her sister. I had a strange dream, said Alice. She told her sister about the White Rabbit, the Mad Tea Party, the Queen of Hearts, and the trial. But her sister wasn't paying attention. You're reading again, mumbled Alice. As she stretched, Alice saw a little white rabbit with pink eyes scurry behind a tree. And that's the end of the story. And there are many moral lessons in the story about Alice in Wonderland. And I will going to tell you the 5 moral lessons in the story. First, the story shows about risk has reward. Of course, your risk has always a counterpart that are rewards. Surely through taking risk can be scary, like crawling down a rabbit hole. But standing still can be scarier. Without taking risk and challenging ourselves, we don't grow. We really shouldn't be doing this, doing the risking or taking some sacrifices. After all, we haven't been invited and curiosity often leads to trouble. But sometimes risks are worth it. The second moral lesson is discover who you are. It is when the caterpillar asks Alice, "Who are you?" she can find a simple answer, not because she's shifted sizes so much since falling down the rabbit hole, but because Alice is unsure just who she is. While Alice's adventure might seem mad on the surface, its main goal is answering the caterpillar question, answering the riddle, and figuring out the greatest puzzle of all. Life can also seem mad, but by discovering who we are and accepting ourselves assures a smoother ride through our journey. And the third moral lesson, accept the differences of others. Learning to accept who we are is one of life's greatest lessons. But so is learning to accept the differences in others. Even if we're not certain of who we are, the people around us aren't always going to be who we want to be, right? And that's okay. That's always fine. Celebrating people's differences makes life more interesting, exposes us to new perspectives, and opens new worlds, just like Wonderland. The fourth moral lesson: don't get stuck in the past. Well, this shows just how much happened to Alice since her journey began. The writer Lewis Carroll imbues the line with multiple meanings. Alice's adventures are about personal evolution, and this lesson affirms that by reminding ourselves that we've grown since yesterday, or a week ago, a year ago, or even decades ago. By closing past chapters, we can write our future without stewing to the regrets, mistakes, and disappointments we all encountered. And the last lesson that the story shows, or the story showed, is stand up for yourself. Accepting other people is good, but sometimes we are just, stupid jerks, like the Queen of Hearts, for example. Gets her excitement from belittling, betraying, or beating her subjects, including Alice. When precocious Alice enters her kingdom, the queen gets her rolling heads in her eyes, or focus to Alice, just like bullies the world over. But one of the most important lessons for any young person to learn is not to let bullies get you down, and always stand up for yourself. By realizing that the Queen of Hearts minions are just a pack of cards, Alice changes her perspectives to see that the aggressive people in her life cannot hurt her if she changes her view. So, that's all for the story Alice in Wonderland, and I hope you will internalize the moral lessons of the story. And also, thank you, my students, for listening and paying attention, and I hope you understood the plot of the story and its moral lessons. Have a good day.